differences. Hi. Hello, welcome back to our channel. I'm Davina.
And I'm Hobart.
And we moved to the Philippines maybe like 70 something days ago, maybe 75 days ago at this point.
Something like that. Yeah.
There's somebody here, so hi, welcome to our channel. Please hit that like button, and thanks for joining us. I do believe it's like 9:30 in America, like in California, and here in the Philippines it's about 12:42 p.m. and we're on the next day, so we're like in the future. And so yesterday we spent the whole day, pretty much, cleaning we went to the cemetery, right? And we were cleaning the family tombstones and things like that. Yeah. And so this is my first time being here during elections. It's also my first time being here during Day of the Dead. So Hobart took me to the cemetery, and we were able to go and we went with his uncle, and we saw where, the family members are buried. And for you, like, you have many family members who have passed already.
Yeah.
And so in the Philippines, the life expectancy is kind of low, as far as, people living to be really old, or, living through an illness or something, or you get sick, you might, your chances aren't. Because, like, tell me why. I mean, medical wise.
I don't know. I would say medical wise, yeah. And then the thing is, because of many people here in Philippines are poverty stricken, they are not able to do maintenance care. Sometimes when they go to the hospital, it's due to the illness spreading and it's too far. They don't catch cancer until later on. They don't have, if you have high blood pressure, hypertension, they might not catch that later on, or you have diabetes, they might not catch that until later on.
Hi, Yu-Gi-Oh! I was talking to this elderly man. I don't know how old he was. How old was he? The elderly man who we saw on a bicycle, and he was like showing me his like he wears these like little fichas. He had like this random like nylon that was filled with some stuff. I don't know what was in it, but he was basically telling me like that's what keeps him alive and safe. And he was showing me on his body where there are like maybe pieces of what's it called, like cancerous skin or something. And he's like, I'm still alive, I'm still healthy. And, he was telling me all that stuff. I didn't entirely understand what he was saying because it was all in like Ilocano.
Yeah.
But like he was saying that, he's healthy because of these different things.
In Ilocano, they call that anting, which means like your stuff like that fights evil. Yu-Gi-Oh says it's an amulet. Yeah, it is anting. So it's like an amulet that wards off evil spirits. So here, Filipinos are very superstitious. Very superstitious. I mean, you can't touch anthills. You have to be careful when you're walking around. Like you have to say buddy, or you go to someone's house and you're like piragamud, which means like
don't
curse me. Yeah, people here are like they still believe in sumpa, which is a curse. Yu-Gi-Oh says don't eat it.
My mother-in-law gave me a twin banana, and she said, hey, eat this. And I wasn't in the mood for bananas, so now I'm not having twins.
Yeah, and so there's interesting things like if you're sick, and you went somewhere and you came home and you're sick the next day, what they'll do is like they'll take the young one's clothes outside and they'll leave it out overnight, and you're supposed to bring it in like before daybreak or something like that.
I know when your father passed, we weren't allowed to bring the food or the refreshments from that event home.
No.
And you said, like, no, you can't bring that home, that the spirit's gonna follow you home or something.
Yeah. Pugpug, if you go, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pugpug, if you
Go to awake
go to awake,
and
they
go
go
home
home
immediately.
immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Yu-Gi-Oh! What is Pugpug? Like, what do? You're just Pugpug for me is like you're like
Oh.
dust yourself off. But
Well,
I don't know.
I know that every time we go visit family, they always like put their hands on the kids.
Oh yeah, they're like
Yeah. Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, and so I think that means that like there might be the individual might have spirits that's following them. So when you that you kind of like defamiliarize that spirit with you visiting the home and things like that.
Isn't there like a saying when somebody gets scared, you say "Makan" or something?
Makan.
What do you
Balayan. So you're saying you're calling yourself home, basically. So when they say like when you get scared, you're like oh, and then you're just like oh, Makan. Yeah. And so Yu-Gi-Oh says that Pugpug means that like if you go to a wake, you're supposed to go somewhere else, like the mall, before you come home, so the spirit doesn't follow you. Ah, okay. Tabi-tabi po. I don't know what tabi-tabi po. I think tabi-tabi po is the same thing as bari-bari. Yeah, bari-bari.
Okay.
Tabi-tabi is like, excuse me. Bari-bari means, yes, same thing. Tabi-tabi po.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You guys, it's very interesting. The culture here is very interesting. I know we went to this cemetery all day yesterday, and I was teaching my children to say like buddy buddy, like you don't want to step on a spirit and then like and you're in their space and it's not recognize them. So while we're going through the cemetery, we are saying our respects and we're like, hey, I acknowledge you. I'm sorry that I'm stepping in your grave. And you do have to step through like and on graves just to get through to where, different people are laid to rest.
So what are your thoughts on that? I think that I don't know how it is in Mexico, but what are your thoughts about the Philippine cemetery compared to the U.S. cemetery?
I'd have to say so the Mexico cemetery is similar in that it's like kind of like a maze and stuff, but theirs are like, I guess you are kind of like but you're not like stepping on top of people as much as you do here. Like here, I mean, there's like you're stepping on top of graves. Like there's so many different graves and there's no way not to step on a grave when you're going through. Where in Mexico, I remember we could like kind of like shimmy around the mounds, and you could avoid like stepping over or onto the mound. And I mean, the dirt was not. It was like if you stepped in the dirt, like your foot went deep in, so you weren't trying to like step on those like fresh, mounds of dirt and stuff. What's up?
I wouldn't do that in Mexico then. Thank you for telling me that.
Here
in Philippines, the cemetery are encased in cement, and so they asked me a crazy question, and she's like pointing it out to the kids. She's like, "Oh, I wonder if they have grave robbers here because they cut out a square in the back of that grave and then they cemented it back up." I didn't think anything of it until I asked my uncle, and my uncle is like, yeah, no. Oftentimes, when a child or a baby dies early or something like that, they make a hole in the back or they pull the old remains. They put it in the back, and then in the front, they'll put the new remains of a family member, and then you have two remains in one. Casket? No, coffin. What do you? I don't know.
Well, yeah, tombstone or
tombstone,
something.
but it's not a tombstone. So a tombstone is
it's
totally
like
different.
A coffin. It's like a.
It's a cement
box.
Yes, cement box. It's encased, and what's interesting is some of these cement boxes have cracks, and so
Well, there was a lot of holes, like, and you look down the way, and there was like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them like with holes, and I was like, what did they like steal whatever was in there? So I wasn't sure if it was like grave robbers or what, but your uncle said it was to move them.
The remains, put it in the back, and then they put the new remains of the dead in the front.
Mhm.
And then also they, so Yu-Gi-Oh says some tombs are like in contract. So,
what does that mean?
That means that they can only stay there for like so many years, and then they're removed.
Whoa.
They're removed and they're taken somewhere else or buried, or I don't know.
So we went to two cemeteries yesterday. And
It's the same. It's just one is the other.
Right next door to each other. So the first one we went to is a much older cemetery. It's way less organized. Like it's just kind of like body after body after body after body after body, like just
piled on top of each other.
Hundreds of, deceased family members, just kind of like clustered. Where we went to the other side, and it was way more organized. Like you could walk and see the tombstone, and it wasn't like above ground. It wasn't like how
it was
everything was below ground, and it was organized.
Yeah. So the cemetery here is like you have the encased, right? The encased coffin, cement box, and then they put them in the front, and then they seal it up. And then they'll usually build another cement box on top, and then they put another body and another one on top, and they put another body. Family members are just like one on top of the other. And so it is not uncommon to see that, right? And so some of these areas, they house entire families. So some families might have bought like a plot of land, and then that plot of land, they just keep stacking family members in there like a mausoleum, I guess.
Yeah, there were some of those. You could see that there were multiple family members in those. You can see like 4 and 5 people side by side.
It's like cost effective. You buy that plot of land, and then you just keep on stacking family members on top of it. So there's the same last name, same family, like a clan, like families living on top of each other. So it was interesting seeing that.
We totally were not prepared. We thought we were prepared, but we weren't prepared because we were going there to clean the cemetery. We didn't know all the things that we needed. So when we got there, we were not well equipped to do the job. Like we brought a shovel, and the shovel came in clutch.
The shovel
was good.
Yeah.
But we should have had like a wire brush, some paint, all this stuff that we didn't know we needed.
So it's interesting. There's people there that are doing a service. They'll take you, and they're like, "Oh, okay, this is what we are. This is a service that they do, and what they do is they paint the little cement caskets white again, and they do the lettering." And I offered to do that. I was like, "Hey, Uncle, let's clean, our family members." And he's like, "No, we'll just do it because these guys, they'll just paint over white some of the."
So you're saying you offered to get the service?
I offered to get the service, but my uncle's like, "No, we'll just do it." So he's like, "Just buy the paint, buy the supplies. I'll bring my sons here because we have lots of family there. Like I have my uncle, Santiago Lamigo. I went to see his grave, and then a family member that that was laid to rest on top of him, and then my uncle's first child, and then my grandma and grandpa who were in the same grave, and then I have my older brother who passed away when he was 4 years old. He was a junior in the family, and then there was another older sister who passed away during birth, right? So what's interesting is I knew it happened, but I didn't know that it happened. My older brother passed away like in April, and he got like run over by a vehicle. My mom was pregnant during the event when it happened, and so she was carrying my older sister. Her name was Elizabeth, and she was born in June and died at birth. So born and died during birth. Like my mom actually gave birth to my older sister who was dead. So that was interesting. They're in the same tomb, and so that I'm looking back and I'm like, man, that must have been very difficult for my mom. One, to lose her first son to a car accident, and then a couple of months later give birth and realize that the baby she was carrying also passed away. So it must have been a very traumatic event for my mother. And thinking back and looking back, my mom is like, oh yeah, you have an older brother and an older sister, and it's like it's interesting how memories and stories like that just floods back in your mind, and it's like, wow. So it kind of got emotional for me a little bit, right? Because we visited family from the Laurencio side, from the Tugari side, from the Lamigo side, and it's just like, man, if I was to do a family tree, it would be very interesting. I think I want to do that. I want to do a family tree to find out, because my mom's like siblings alone, there's 11 of them. My father had 3, but then my grandparents, there's more kids too. So it's just a lot. Our family is huge. Like I said before, it's like Naruto, you know what I mean? Like this clan and that clan, this clan, they all stay pretty much in the same town. And so it was interesting.
No, and it was really good to go with his uncle because he was able to show us where everyone was laid to rest. And we were able to have that like bonding moment with your uncle. It was actually very like it was beautiful. Like I'm so glad that we're here and we get that opportunity to spend time with your uncle, and he gets to show us. He really does have that uncle role.
Yeah, he definitely plays that role. While we're here, since we've been here, I've kind of just been like, hey, uncle, what's this? What's that? What's this? And we have the connections that we do with construction because of him. Whether it's buying hollow blocks, buying dirt, where to buy supplies, the carpenters that are here at the house, electricians and things like that.
Yeah, when we needed a car to rent, he knew exactly who to ask in the town so that we could rent a car.
He kind of introduced us to people. It's like, oh, this guy's your family. You can buy some cement from him, and that's your family over there. You can borrow his car, and that's your family over there, and you can get this. And it's like, the way the culture here is in Philippines, it's amazing because everyone is interconnected in some way, shape, or form. Right? They might have different last names, but then women marry into different families, and that's how families change. But they're still first cousins, second cousins. They're in some way, shape, or form. We're all connected. So
yeah, it's so it was a really nice day yesterday to just go to church and then spend time at the cemetery. We spent a lot of time at the cemetery, and in the future we would have taken some other things too. It got really hot. We should have taken water,
umbrella, water.
Yeah,
it was really hot.
It was hot, and then we started working. We're out there digging and trying to bring the name back so that you can see who's laid to rest there. And I mean, you broke a sweat. You were like deep in there, like digging and cleaning.
Yeah, my older brother and my older sister's grave were kind of like halfway. The tombstone was kind of covered. The amount of dirt that has been like, people dig up dirt and then they just lay it around, and then so it's like they just put it in place. So I had to dig up the kind of the grave. Not the grave. It is the tombstone, but it is like the front of the grave, and I'm like,
you kind of do remember.
Yeah, I do remember.
You were remembering going there when you were a kid.
I did remember going there when I was a kid, and it's just like you have this box, and underneath that is this square mound underneath it. You don't even see the square mound that it's on top of, which is interesting. It's just the amount of dirt that people have moved since I've left. Day of the Dead, or also known as Araw ng Mga Patay, or in Ilocano, it's Fiesta Natay. It is like a big old celebration. It's when Filipinos like even now, I mean, Day of the Dead is not until November 1st, but we
Mhm.
went there yesterday
It's packed.
and it was packed. I mean, people were
Yeah.
cleaning. There was a whole bunch of goats everywhere trying to cut the grass, and
Mhm.
it was just interesting. It's not just in our city too, but everywhere we went,
Every town.
every cemetery is pretty much full. And the thing is, some towns, like, people were setting up shop by the cemetery.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good time to
Yeah.
have a store right outside of the cemetery because you're gonna have a lot of customers this week.
Yeah, and so Yu-Gi-Oh says some public cemeteries in Manila houses families. Some of them watch over other people's tombs, and they are paid for that. Wow, that's interesting. And then he also says most families will have overtime with their dead. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. I mean, like, look, here in Philippines, there's like blackouts, which would the lights come out and turn off, and yeah, I have vivid memories of like being scared to go into my house because we didn't have electricity. We didn't have
Look,
electricity.
okay, we are terrified of the spirits. We are saying buddy buddy and paragamod and do not follow us home, please. Okay,
Yeah.
we're like we are good people.
I know. I'm like, oh, I'm stepping on someone's.
I know. I felt so bad about stepping on somebody's
Yeah, it's really
grave.
bad. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so the thing is, it was interesting because as we were going to the other gravesite, it says, hey, don't put any more candles because anytime they're gonna take it off because after 8 o'clock, that's when you're 8 a.m. on November 1st. That's when you're supposed to go, and you take your candle and you put it and you have that memory with your family.
I do remember when I was living in Mexico, because I grew up in Mexico. We would go and visit my grandpa, and we would take lunch, and we would take the carnations, and like we had massive amounts of flowers, and you could make your paper flowers that would last a long time. So we would do this whole preparation. We take lunch out, and I would be out there with my grandmother, who's my nana, and we would just be, they have the ofrenda. And we have an ofrenda here at our house for his father.
Yeah, so my father is actually here at our house. He passed away 2011?
2010?
10? 11?
I thought it was 2010.
Okay, 2010. And so, yeah, he got cremated in the United States. He was brought back home. My mom has kind of built a shrine of him here at our house, and he's kind of like guarding our house. And so, yeah, he's here. And what's interesting is my kids, right? It's like, hey, that's your grandpa, right? My kids will do stuff, some artwork, and hey, I made some for grandpa too. And they'll actually go there and talk. Be like, hi grandpa, how are you doing? You know, like
they want to
include him. And you know, that's something that that Dee and I thought about. Like she was really like, we were really fighting about it when my dad passed away.
At his funeral
I
was devastated because my children never got to meet their grandfather. And so I was like, wow, we waited way too long to have kids. We should have had them when we were younger. At this point, we were 7 years married, but we didn't end up having kids till 3 years later. So that was a real hard struggle for me because I wanted them to know their grandpa.
There's also some background information about that too. Like my father had surgery on his knee. He was in his 80s, so he had surgery on his knee.
Dad was older.
He was bedridden. There was a point where, you know, men, they don't really cry in front of their children, let alone their sons. So my father was like in bed and he was crying. He's like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. And so I was like, what are you talking about, Dad? You're freaking strong, you know. And I was holding his hand and like this. We were just like holding his hand. He was like laying down, and I said, Dad, stop playing around. I told him, I said, I need you to stay alive because you haven't even met your grandkids yet. And so you need to stay alive. And my father pulled through. He did.
Yeah.
He pulled through and he survived. He made it through that surgery, both knees, and only to be taken away a few years later from a car accident. He was T-boned while he was driving a car. And so it was a very rough time. Like I remember, I can I remember it was the day after our anniversary, right? It was
We distinctly remember.
so my father's death on is the day after or on the day of my anniversary,
Right.
our
we
wedding
got we got the
anniversary
phone call
on
and that you
anniversary.
needed to start driving.
Yep, because they got in an accident, and so we got there the following day, like early morning, and I almost got in an accident a few times. It was my cousin from Canada. he was like, Mono, you're falling asleep. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry, but we made it there. My mom was there, bedside. My older sister Hazel was there bedside, but I wasn't able to make it. And during that time, I've been in combat. I've seen many dead bodies. I've been surrounded by death before, but it was different because my father was hooked up to all kinds of tubes, and you know, I went in there, said my goodbyes. He was already dead, and so yeah. But it was like I couldn't like they had him like taped up, and they had the little thing on his face, and they tried to resuscitate him, to bring him back to life, but he just wasn't making it. And for me, it was a tough time during that time. But I was the oldest son, like my mother was distraught. My sister was like having a bad relationship with my father at that time because they were arguing for some reason. My other sister was also distraught, and then my little brother had a broken leg because he was going like doing paintball, and he was trying to go pro. So the burden came to me, and good thing I had a very good support system, right?
Yes, yes.
That burden came on me to kind of like, hey, get the family together, move things along, um, you know, finances, whatever it was. And the thing is, like, when your father passes away, like my father, like I said, never showed any type of emotion. He was the type of man that like showed that he cared about you based off of what type of preparation he has done, to have like generational wealth or whatever it is, right? So he set us up for success, brought us to the United States, and I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But he never actually said, I love you. He showed it. He showed it. You know, um, One of the things that he said was like, hey, there's a whole bunch of properties, and we had a long conversation. He's like, these are the properties, and these are the individuals' names. And I didn't want any of it. I was like, just give it to my older sister. And he's like, no. He gave me his reasons, but it's not for YouTube.
Anyways, so here we are. We live in one of the properties that his father passed on, and and Grandpa's right here. He lives with us. We're happy that he's here in the home. I feel blessed. Actually, I don't remember if it was like 2 years ago because I was still having a lot of problems with my closure with his father's passing. Because when it happened, I was really sad. Um, and I've been with my husband at that point for 9 years, but married for 7, and so he was a big part of my life. Um, and one day I had like a dream, but I don't think it was a dream. It was kind of like somewhere in between twilight and this was like 2 a.m. in the
She
morning.
got visited.
I had a visit by his father, and he basically told me that he's with the kids all the time, and he gave me some closure. So I never have to feel like they didn't get to know their grandpa because he knows them.
Mm-hmm.
And he spends time with them. He watches over them, and I was like, oh.
They talk to him. They're like, hey, Grandpa.
So that was so cool. It was so great.
Yeah. I rambled on about my stories in the past, but yeah, there's so many stories.
Well, I think that this time it brings up, like you have your memories and of the people who've gone before us,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of it's like that time where you come back and you kind of like center yourself, and
Mhm.
you pay your respects.
Yeah, my grandma, my grandpa, we visited there too.
Didn't I meet your grandma at one point? I met your grandma one time. No, who?
No, she was already.
I met your aunt then, a great aunt.
Yeah.
Who did I meet when I first came here 20 something years ago?
I think it was Peter's grandma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Peter's grandmother. So yeah, she was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I met someone in a wheelchair. Yeah.
That was Peter's family, and so.
Oh.
But it's interesting how like memories come back, and I wish I would have had an opportunity to meet my older brother and my older sister, and like life would have been a lot different, I think.
Yeah,
definitely. So we struggled a lot when we were in the United States. At one point, my oldest sister was living by herself with other family. My other sister and I were living with a family friend, not even family, but we call her grandma. And then my mom and my dad were in a farm, and they had my little brother who was 4 or 5 years old at that time. And so we were separated for a few months until they got us under one roof, and my parents were like renting one room, right, from like a family of 7 or 8, who was also sharing the house. No, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, who was also sharing the house, and it was a 3-bedroom house, but we had one room to ourselves. It was rough. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, moving from the Philippines and going to America, that immigrating, like.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's easy, but it's not.
No.
It's very difficult. I'll tell you, like, if it wasn't for my family in San Diego, I was like, man, I was wearing girls' clothes. I was like wearing hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
From my manang. So her name is Bernalyn. I don't know if she remembers, but yeah, she gave me some hand-me-downs, and that's what I was wearing to school. I didn't care. Like, it didn't matter. I was getting made fun of and bullied at that time, but still, at least I had some clothes. Because in the wintertime in the United States, it was very cold, very cold. Not like here in the Philippines. So, man, all these memories are just flooding back. But yeah, preparation for Day of the Dead here in the Philippines, and my uncle is gonna go back to the cemetery tomorrow and finish up. Got a steel brush to kind of like
we should
get rid of all of the old
dirt.
paint and the dirt that's on top, and then he's gonna repaint it. He's gonna take his sons there.
I think that's a good bonding time as well. It's good bonding to go out there and clean up the cemetery.
We had a long conversation about stuff. It's like, oh yeah, that's your family. This is your family. That's your family. And then as we were there, they were like, hey, I think my aunties over here, and people were talking about. We were talking about the same family, but I didn't know this individual. Oh yeah, that's my aunt. I am on the father's side. You're on the mother's side.
Right, we were meeting family members out at the cemetery for the first time.
Like, oh, who are you? Oh, we're from this side over here.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, awesome. It was a good experience, and now it's elections, and so the whole week there's no school, and it's very busy for it being a holiday. It's very busy out on the street. But
we were worried about it today though, because we had to go to Carinderia. That's how we live.
Yeah. We eat at the Carinderia, okay?
That's how we live. We just make rice. We make rice at the house. You know what I mean? Look, it's hard. It's hard out here. You go to the market. Well, we don't have a kitchen, but you go to the market. You have to buy all the ingredients, all right? And then you come home and you're cooking one meal, right? When you can go to the Carinderia and they're selling like a whole bunch of meals. You cook the rice at home, and it's 50 peso per bowl of what is that?
It's dish. A serving,
Yeah, a serving of a dish, and it's like, man, that is good right there.
Yeah.
So we spent like 250 peso, which is $5.
Yeah.
USD.
And we can buy lunch.
And dinner. We bought lunch and dinner today. Yeah.
But when we were driving around, we were worried because a lot of the different places that are usually open were closed.
Yeah.
And the one that we go to, Maria Paula, she's going to be closed tomorrow. So good thing we got there today and we loaded up on a lot of food. I think it'll last us over the next 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, so she's off too because of, cleaning the cemetery.
Yeah, she had to go and do the same stuff that we were doing yesterday.
She can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, Day of the Dead is November 1st. Plus, today she's going to close early because she's got to go vote for,
Oh, yeah, today is a voting day.
Today is a voting day in the barangays. And so it's like, man, voting is in full swing. All the politicians are like standing right there waiting. And what's interesting is I asked, like, hey, so when are you guys going to find out? Tomorrow, a week from now? They're like, tonight.
Oh, yeah.
They're counting it as they go. We're going to find out tonight. They're like, I was like, what time?
The winner?
It's like, it's going to be at 10 p.m. They're going to be done counting. And then 11 p.m. they're going to let us know. And what's interesting is we went to Mattinas yesterday, seafood restaurant, right? Seafood. Yeah, so thank you, Christina. The Tugati family. Oh, that's Navarrete. Navarrete. I think it's their family. They took us to Matutinas in Ordaneta. We went yesterday. And Dee was like, I want some seafood. Yeah. So we went to Matutinas and
chow down. By the way,
chow down.
The food is amazing.
So good.
If you haven't been there, you should go try it. They got really good food, Matutinas, and the ambiance. It's very good. It's very clean. The food is amazing.
And so while we were there, they sold alcohol, but on their fridge it says, on the 29th and the 30th of October, there's an alcohol ban or like
it's a liquor ban.
Liquor ban. So they can't sell the 29th and the 30th of October due to politics.
I wonder what that is, because that's very interesting. If anybody knows, what's the reason behind it? Okay, is there a reason why they're not selling liquor? I know, in Georgia, let's say we were stationed in Georgia, and on Sundays, there was a liquor law or a liquor ban.
Liquor ban. You can't buy alcohol on Sundays. Hey, Yu-Gi-Oh said something about long vacation and things like that. And he says double pay. I don't know what that means. What is that? Yu-Gi-Oh? What is double pay?
Today is double pay. I know Christmas you get double pay.
Oh, it's a holiday. That's why. That's why it's probably double pay. Got it. Yeah. That is interesting. So left and right, people are like, "Here, are you guys gonna vote today? Are you gonna vote today? Are you guys gonna vote today?" We were on our walk and they're like, "Oh, did you vote yet?" I'm like, "Sorry, I don't vote. I don't do politics.
He's not exercising his rights to vote.
I don't do politics.
We just got here.
I'm not registered. I don't plan on doing that. So yeah.
Today is considered a holiday. Yes. Yeah. Here in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is everyone's home. Everyone's just hanging out. Everyone's chilling. This whole week, there's no school. None.
Yeah, so we're looking to go do something, but we might just ride our bicycles and enjoy. We went for a walk this morning. We've already done 3 miles already by today, so far.
Yeah,
so far.
We did 4 miles. It's one and a half at 6 o'clock in the morning.
5:24
and
is
then
how
we
many,
just did
5 miles
2.5
is what I've done.
Before lunchtime. So
yeah I got the proof.
So yeah, no alcohol. It's probably because people get rowdy during politics.
Maybe.
I am looking forward to going to this bazaar in town.
There is a bazaar in town. It's a food, a foodie bazaar.
Bazaar? Hey, what kind of accent is that, girl? You hiding some accent from me or what? I like that.
So yeah, we need to get out there. We'll probably do some video of that. It's just that I can never be hungry. Because I'm always eating at this calendaria. And so by the time I remember that there's a bazaar down the street, I'm already full. Mm-hmm. It's true. So I think we need, we bought enough food for dinner. So
she's been eating all kinds of fruit too. We went, she's like, hey, stop by the stand.
Yes.
So I want some green mangoes. And then while we were there buying green mango, she's like, is that watermelon? I want some watermelon.
Yeah,
so it's we have so much food.
Yeah,
and it's
we're not hungry.
I asked the lady, I was like, when were these mangoes picked? And she's like, this morning. I was like, oh,
give me all of them.
The freshness of the food here, it is so tasty. I wish I had some alamang, and some chili. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, no, we definitely have to watch what we eat because, like, we could definitely. It's so good. All the food is so amazing.
Surprisingly, I'm losing weight.
He is.
I'm
His
losing weight.
metabolism
I'm
is.
speeding up my metabolism. I don't know, might be tapeworm or something, whatever. It's working. Okay, it's working.
And for me, it's not. All right, I am almost 40, and it's definitely slowed down. He said mango float. Have you tried a mango float? I have not tried a mango.
We've had
float.
mango shakes before.
I had a mango shake. It was very tart. The lady was like, "Are you sure you want this? It's very sour." And I was like, "Yes." I drank it, even though it was very sour. Yeah, we've had buko shakes, and they're full of sugar, and we regret that they were so full of sugar. But yeah.
So, what else do you want to talk about? Long walks, green mangoes.
I mean, we have not been looking for property lately. We have kind of like taken a break from the property ever since we saw the $17 million property that, you know.
Yeah.
McDonald's.
We did make an offer though. We offered.
Like
we made an offer. It was like a little bit over 1 hectare, and I was like, all right, well, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? For 100, less than 100 piso per hectare. It over 1 hectare equate, and I said, hey, I'll make an offer of 1 million piso, right, which is equivalent to like 18,000 USD. And they're like, yeah. And I said, okay, as soon as we do the filing, I want to be able to put somebody in there so that way they can start farming it. And the person was like, no, unfortunately, I cannot allow someone to farm it until April of 2024. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Are you selling this property or not? An individual was like, yes, I'm selling it, but I have an obligation and a contract with the farmer. They need to finish their first crop, second crop, and then third crop will be ending in April. And I'm like, wait, so even if I buy the property right now, I wouldn't be able to make use of it? And the individual was like, no. I was like, okay, so that just answered my question right there. I can't, unless like you're really selling it. That for me was like,
that was like the red flag.
That was a red flag right there.
Say no.
So at this point,
we're kind of taking a break. We do have our mind made up about what property we will buy. It needs to be a beach property. So we're trying to get out to the ocean.
We have been to the ocean.
Yeah, but we're trying to get out to like these different areas where we can go and look at properties and possibly make some offers. But at the moment, I don't know. There's other things that come with a beach property, flooding. So we still kind of worried about that too. Yeah. You know, there's tread lightly, move softly.
Yeah.
We're not in a rush.
I'm like having fun, looking forward to it, spending time with family. We played some video games yesterday, watching movies, and my son is like, my daughter has a Sudoku competition coming up in November, and my son, I guess, entered in a chess competition.
Yeah.
I'm like,
dude, what? A chess competition. Good on him.
So he knows how to play chess. Both my kids.
Yeah.
You're not a father if your kids don't know how to play chess. Okay. You're not a very good father if you don't teach your kids how to play chess, which is a strategy game, allows them to think. All right. So you gotta challenge your kids. But for me, I'm like, all right, son, we're gonna have to practice chess every day if you're gonna win this thing. And what he told me, he's like, yeah, I think I can beat the kindergartens.
Yeah,
he's like, I think I can get the first grade. I might be the best in second grade, but I don't know if I can beat the third and fourth graders. So I was like, well, let's get you better. Let's get you.
He's cool. He's like, I got 3 moves. And I could get him in 3 moves. I was like, all right. Hi, Money Printer.
Hey, Money Printer, what's up? Hey, just in time, Money Printer. You got any hot topics? You want us to answer?
Money Printer, you need to go back and watch all the sadness.
Don't watch
Dia de Los muertos.
Don't go back and watch the sadness. It's just a whole bunch of
migration to America.
Yeah. Don't do that. But Money Printer, you also missed some politics question too, though. Some politics question. So
it's going bad. Yeah.
The world is going bad. Well, yeah.
It feels good right here in our little corner of the world. I'm ready for the dollar crisis. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Daddy. Oh,
But I
no,
think-
no,
I
no, man.
think
We're
in
good. We're good. We're
Philippines-
good. We're good. Because hey, whatever's happening in the United States right now, it's good. Because the money exchange, the USD to peso.
Tesla
Yeah.
stock is down. It's a good time to buy.
It's a good time to buy. It really is a good time to buy.
I'm really glad I sold when I did. I know I was like selling because I was like, okay, we need to do something about this construction situation.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a really good thing because it was at a higher point than it is now. So I was like, all right, cool.
You know, money printer, if you are in the United States and you're into like stock market and things like that, I would say go ahead and buy now, right? Go ahead and buy because everything is low. Because you know this administration is gonna be out of there. It's gonna get out of there.
Very soon.
They're gonna. This current administration is gonna be out of there soon, and I think the next administration, it's gonna be
a bull
a
market.
bull market
Oh.
again. All right. You know.
So he asked if we've ever thought about day trading.
You know, money printer, that's interesting that you say that. Day trading is cool. I did really think about it, especially here in Philippines, that I'm not really doing anything. I'm more like a graphs guy, interested in kind of like the trends, the uptrends, downtrends, you know. No, 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 not Forex. We're talking about two different Forex, okay? The Forex balikbayan place, yeah, go do that. But Forex trading, no, no, no. Yeah, no.
No.
We'll let somebody else do all the hard work. I think I'm just gonna. I don't want to watch the TV. I don't want to watch the monitor.
Right.
Kind of seeing how the graph goes, and then lose out on thousands of dollars in one day because of a stupid move. You know. Yeah. It's too hard.
No,
It's
we're
too
just
hard.
regular-
It's
we're
too
just
hard.
regular people.
But you know what though, money printer, I don't know if you've heard about like Elon Musk and what is that thing?
What?
They're trying to put like chip in people. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but basically, if you have a chip on your mind, you know, you can take advantage of the millisecond to buy or sell stocks on the internet, and then you know, like you just got the edge. You know, it's the edge. But then again, it takes a lot of capital in order for you to invest in some things. You know, people, I guess you can start off with $100, but buy penny stocks initially. You know,
What's for
what's
lunch?
for lunch? I had green
We-
mango, man.
We
Green
had
mango.
lunch. Actually, it was balaton.
Yeah.
It was from Maria Paula.
It was
Shouts out to her.
fried Gigi, Gigi, I think.
Fried Gigi.
Galonggong
Oh,
or
it's a
something
type
like
of
that.
fish?
Yeah, it's a fish. And then
Yeah.
The bitter melon with the egg
and the tomati.
and then there's the new one that's my favorite. It's called it's pork. It's binagoongan, which has like bitter melon. No, it has a eggplant.
Eggplant.
It has eggplant, has bagoong, and it has like pork.
Yeah, okay, so I'm a foreigner. I still haven't gotten used to the bagoong like taste. I'm not craving it. I'll eat it. It's not the end of it's like I can eat it. I'm not gonna die, I'm not gonna starve. But at the same time, I haven't gotten to where I'm like craving it.
So why don't you tell money printer doesn't know what the green mango is? It's the native here in Philippines.
Oh, the green mango. It's like the Indian mango, right?
It's the Indian mango. Okay.
The green mango is what I thought was an avocado. And
Let me go get one.
And they're actually really tasty. They're really delicious. I thought it was an avocado. I made them circle around. I was like, ooh, avocados on my toast. This is going to be great. California girl. And so I was like, hey, stop at that place. They got avocados. They're in season. We stop and it's a mango. Talk about my disappointment. I was like, I don't want mango with my breakfast. But then I tried it and it was really, really good. Like you could eat it with the vinegar. You could eat it with chili, lemon. You could just eat it by itself. The green mango is really, really crispy, like a crunchy, and it tastes really, really good. Doesn't that look like an avocado?
This is small though. This is small. But they're shaped like this, and it's we eat it just like this. You peel it, and it is so crunchy. It is so crunchy.
I have some in the fridge already made. Do you mind grabbing it? And
Yeah. But it looks like this, right? So And the thing is, like, we have mangoes here, like in the backyard, and it's like this is like on a hook, and it's just beautiful. When I was younger, I would just go from the tree right at the back of the school, and I would just grab one, and I'm like,
There's got to be something because like I come from like California, sure, but I grew up in Mexico, and the mangoes over there are different. Like the mango it turns red. It's got like when you open it inside, it's real juicy and it's very sweet. But here, the mango, you open it, it's very it's like crispy and tart, and they believe that if it starts to get ripe, per se, that it's already gone past its time. Well, it does turn more sour, and I guess it's essentially it is past its time. So I actually cut some up. These guys were sitting on the counter for about 2 to 3 days, and if it's already 2 to 3 days, it's already old. It's past its time. Is what
it's not. It's still good.
So I eat them because, but this is, okay, so the yellow ones, the yellow part, that's the older. And then the white part is the younger. And this is the stuff that he loves to eat is like the white, newer, fresher, just picked. But this yellow right here, this where it's a little mushy and stuff, is going to be a little sour. But it's ripe. Yeah. It's very good.
All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Mm-mm. So thanks for joining us. Thank you for watching our live.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you on the next one. Shouts out to Money Printer Never Stop and Yu-Gi-Oh for coming into our chat. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye. Yeah.